Welcome to episode 9 of Off the Cuff, where we answer your questions about Lego. We've got all sorts of topics for today, including MILS plates, sleeves, retired pieces, and even some more personal questions if you want to get to know us a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
All right, so let's get started.
All right.
Okay, so for our first question, I'm going to read this one. It's a little bit longer. If you could send a wish list to Lego of retired pieces you'd like brought back, or current pieces you could have recolored, what would you wish for?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think there are some pieces that Lego I wish produced more of, so I'll start with that as I rack my brain for maybe some other ones. I think some of the pieces I really would like to see more are clear panels. Like there was this curved panel from Ninjago City when it's not one that comes in very many sets. It was in the town plan from like 2007 or something like that. And it's a great piece and very useful for Windows, but in building a mock lately, and you kind of see it over here behind Julia, it was really hard to find that and pretty expensive piece. So that's one piece. Another piece that I would like to see perhaps in more colors is the 1x2 modified brick with the groove that you could put like a garage door through. So like the piece came out in the early 80s, I think, and it was used for garage doors, but it's also been used as an architectural detail on sets like the Kingdom's Joust about 10 years ago, as well as the Green Grocer. They use them in sand green. And I like those pieces because they're really a nice way to get some architectural detail. And I just don't think they put them in enough colors and they include them in enough sets. So those are some pieces that may not be retired, but they may not be in as many colors as I would like, or need to be brought back into more sets. Other things, I understand why Lego's moved away from base plates, like the 32x32 base plates in sets. Of course, they have plenty available on Lego.com and if you go to the Lego store. But one that I know a lot of people like are the raised base plates from like the castle days and the pirate days. I was not a huge fan of them in my adult building life, but as a kid, those were amazing.
For sure. My brother and I definitely liked those.
Yeah, like the ramp and pit plates, and like the kids, like our kids love those as well. I gave them one because we got one from Julia's brother like last summer or 2 summers ago, and the kids were just like all over that. That was amazing. So those are kind of fun pieces. Maybe one other that I'll give you is the corner panels from the old castle and pirate sets, because I think it's like the wall panels they had with the windows are not something that I think Lego would use all that much today. And it makes sense because Lego really does focus on building things out of bricks and plates.
Yeah.
But the corner panels I thought served a better purpose, and that was that you were able to get some angles with a relatively cheap investment in terms of plastic and pieces. And one thing I've noticed is that as much as Lego loves angles and they put them in a lot of different sets, sometimes the angle can be very piece intensive. And then what that results in is a lot of pieces going into one small feature, and then they have to make compromises elsewhere. So maybe that's a piece. And I know they used them as recently as like the mid-2010s castles and some of the Harry Potter stuff from around like 2011, 2012 or something like that. So it's maybe been a little bit since we see them in a lot of sets, but that's one I'd like to see maybe more common if they had a castle theme. Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right, our next one, which is also a little bit long, is from Jacob Ginger Hoffman. Many people with Lego cities go with the MILS plate. Have you ever thought about doing that yourself?
That's a great question, and yes, I have thought about that. Here's my thought process for this. I want our Lego city to be a little bit different, and what I found is that everyone seems to be going with the Lego MILS system, which is fine. Like, that's up to them. Our system is using 1x2 tiles in black on regular plates and making our roads about 20 studs wide, so it allows us to have a 2 stud wide median. Now, the drawback is that you're using a lot of tiles, and if you keep looking on Bricklink, occasionally you can find something that's a really good deal on 1x2 black tiles. Whether you use our system or the MILS system, it's going to be rather parts intensive, and quite honestly, I don't love the look of the large Lego base road plates that they use now in City, because the 2x4 tiles you put in there, I just don't think that looks as good as other ways of doing it. So I prefer our system relative to that in terms of the look. I also think it looks different from what everyone else is doing, so I kind of want to try that rather than just, oh, this is the latest thing that everyone's doing and let's go ahead and do that because Brixie's doing it and that other person's doing it. And that's fine. Like, I don't have any problem with anybody doing that. I think it looks good for a lot of people. I just don't like it for ours. So we're going with a different parts-intensive, expensive way to build roads instead of the MILS plate. Which, by the way, there are some really great videos that I've seen, and you can just do a search on YouTube on great ways to reduce the cost of MILS plates and how to set up everything so that you don't have to use too many bricks and too many plates to achieve the same look.
For those who don't know, can you explain what a MILS plate is?
Oh, well, yeah, that's a good question. So a MILS plate is basically incorporating the recent city road plates that Lego has. Lego used to use 32 by 32 road plates on the base plate format, the very thin plates, for decades. And then recently they've gone to more of a plate-based system. And these road plates are something that you can incorporate by building on top of, like you put a normal base plate, a stack of bricks, and then you put the road and everything on top of that. What it does is it standardizes where the roads come in from one plate to the next and allows you to kind of build your city on top of that so you can incorporate roads and sidewalks and bike lanes, crosswalks, all those kinds of things within your city, which makes a lot of sense. So our solution, of course, is that we just use 1x2 tiles on plates, and then we'll kind of raise our.
And the plates we're using are the base plates.
No, we use regular plates.
Standard.
Yeah, because we're using a 20 wide road, so we don't have 20 wide base plates. So we use like a 6x10 or something along those lines, and then we just line them up and then stack a bunch of tiles on top of that. So yeah, it's both ways are parts intensive, and that's one of the issues with Lego roads is that if you're doing something that looks cool, it's going to be parts intensive. It's going to cost a lot of money. The old system that Lego had, they would come out with a pack of road base plates, and you could get 3 for $15 or something like that. But you're trying to build stuff directly on a base plate, and they had like 6 studs wide on the edges, which they would make, or 8 studs wide, so they would make them like build sets on top of them. Like one of my favorites is the Big Rig truck stop from way back in the 1980s. But you'd only have a very, narrow, thin building with no back to it, and it doesn't really work well for a modular system. So that's, I think, why people are using the MILS system.
We've got a couple more questions from John Noble. So thank you for your return each month. We appreciate your support.
Sure.
So our first question from him is, do you keep Lego boxes?
Yes, we do, and she does not like this. Yeah, we keep our Lego boxes. So we have our modular city. It's on like an old pool table that has doesn't have the pool table stuff on it. It's just the granite slabs. And underneath of that, we have a ton of boxes. And what we do is basically flatten them out nowadays, and then we'll just kind of stack them underneath. The old school boxes that were, the cardboard ones you can pull out, those we have boxes inside of them. So yes, I've got boxes going all the way back to the 1980s that I still have in my collection. Some boxes I just have the front of, the box got destroyed when I was a kid, but my mom just kind of cut they had this flap you could lift up, and so she would cut that part off, and I have that for some sets. So yeah, we've got a lot of boxes, and maybe one of these days we'll just pick and choose which ones we want to keep and get rid of the rest of them.
It does take a lot of space to store all the boxes, which is why I don't love it. But I can see where in the future it could be nice to, if we got to the point where we wanted to resell some of those sets, it could be worth more with the box.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting question as well, and I'm torn on that, because I think, I would love to get a set off of Bricklink or eBay or wherever that had the box. I think there's something special about just having the box. At the same time, I don't know if fans want that, because you have to pay so much more for shipping. So you'd have to wrap the box up in a way that's going to protect it. You're going to have to then find a box to put the box within, and that becomes problematic, as opposed to I've got bags of pieces. I can take any one of a number of boxes from Amazon that we already have and put those pieces in there. You can put the instruction manual if you have them, but of course not all of the instruction manuals for the last 20 years are on Lego.com. So yeah, the resale point exists, but I'm not sure it's the same that it used to be. And also, I keep a lot of the boxes just for the sake of keeping them, and that may not be the best thing. So yeah, we'll see. We'll come to a point where we just run out of space for storage, and then we're going to get rid of boxes so we can store more pieces under that pool table.
Okay, our next question is, what would you like to see for Lego's next new leaf element?
Oh, this is a really cool question because Lego has done a lot with leaf elements. So going all the way back to the 1980s, they had these, 3x5 or 3x4 and then 5x6 leaf elements that are pretty ubiquitous in Forestman sets and have been used extensively throughout, even to this day. Like the Treehouse set that recently retired was just full of them. And one of the cool things that we saw over the years with that is they started out in just regular green, and then we got dark green, and then light green, and then we started getting autumnal colors, and that was really cool. Then Lego completely revamped its flower system. So they used to have these old flowers that came on sprues. And you'd get like one sprue, it had 4 flowers on them, and you would take them off and put them on the old flower stems. And since then, they've gone through a couple iterations of flowers, so they completely revamped that. Then they added the new 3-leaf piece that is common in a lot of sets that they add on top of the old original foliage pieces, which has really allowed greater detail. Now they've got some more foliage pieces that came out this year, and I will say this, I don't have any of those.
Well, we have the fern ones that we got with the holiday set in November, whenever we got it.
And Rivendell, yeah. And those come in dark green, green, and now white. So those are really cool. We have some of those. They have the new ones that came out in one of the Mario sets that's just kind of like a big leaf. They also have these new ones that came out in the Snow White's Cottage and some of the Friends sets from this year in different colors. So I don't actually have any of those. And so I almost feel like the answer to the question is I would just like to get some of those and incorporate them into my system before figuring out, okay, what has to be the next leaf piece that Lego comes out with. That said, I think something that's more particular to trees, I think maybe oak leaves or something like that.
I was thinking really classic shapes, like an oak leaf or a maple leaf might be nice.
Especially for the Canadians out there, those maple leaves. Yeah, I think that would be kind of fun because they already have acorn tiles, so I think it'd be cool to have some different leaf pieces that look, similar to the 3-leaf piece that we have a lot of today that you'll often find on the pick-a-brick wall, but then make them a little bit different shapes. So that's what I would hope for next, but honestly, I'm not going to put too much into that wish list just because I kind of want to experiment with some of the other ones. And we're just now, I think, getting to the point where the fern pieces from last year are coming out in enough sets and are available on Bricklink that people can really kind of get those at a reasonable, I wouldn't even say reasonable price, but not quite as expensive as last year, and do a lot more with them. So that's kind of the next step in leaf iterations.
All right, our next question from Mark D is, have you ever considered buying off-brand Lego?
No. Not that I'm a purist. I've seen some other off-brand Lego type things, like I've interacted with Mega Bloks, or I don't know, maybe it's Mega Constructs now. I don't know if they might have gone through a name change. And some of the American Girl stuff, one of our daughters got an American Girl set that was a knockoff brand, and I don't like the way they fit together. A lot of the specifications aren't quite as precise as what you get with Lego pieces. That said, I think there are some custom brands that are designed to fit with Lego, whether it's custom accessories, minifigs, or even maybe occasional custom pieces that people can make in large batches for just 1 or 2 pieces. I think those are probably better than some of the knockoff brands. I wouldn't go with something like a Lepin, like one of the Chinese knockoff brands. That said, there are some YouTube channels out there that I think do a good job of highlighting some of the cool features that other companies are putting out there. And so there are some really good ideas, sets, really cool building techniques that are different from what Lego does. And I think if you want to go out there and get those, that's fine. I know for us, our Lego budget is what it is at this point in time, that I almost feel bad buying an off-brand instead of buying Lego pieces. Because there's so many sets that I would prefer to get and so many pieces I want that I wouldn't want to spend my money on those others because I don't want to incorporate them into the Lego collection. Like as it is, like I know for May the 4th, this just was announced this past week, that they have, you know, the new TIE Interceptor, they've got some other Star Wars stuff coming out, some brickheads, but they also have this coffee table book that's about Star Wars. And it looks really cool because it's got, you know, images of sets and minifigs that they never produced, like they were testing or they were thinking about producing that they didn't do. But that book is $150. It's a coffee table book. And so I wouldn't want to spend $150 on a Lego coffee table book that I could spend on Lego pieces. So the same rationale applies to off-brand. Like I don't want to spend that money on off-brand Lego. Now, I would be tempted if I didn't have every Lego design modular to go with an off-brand version of like one of the older modular buildings. Like if I hadn't started collecting those in 2007 when they came out, then I would want to find a way to get the greengrocer, and if it meant spending money on an off-brand, I might do that just because I want that completion aspect, and I don't want to spend just the inordinate amount of money that set would cost secondhand.
Yeah, I mean, people have been making some points on some of our comment threads about how it's much better on the budget to be buying some of these other brands rather than Lego. And that's kind of a way that they can still do Lego without actually having the budget that Lego requires.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point too. I mean, obviously, you know, what your budget is decided by you and how much money you pull in and what you're willing to spend on things like Lego or building blocks. I know, you know, when my dad was a kid, they had like Tinker Toys and they had wood blocks. My grandfather made a bunch of wooden blocks to help them stack stuff up when they were kids that we used when we were kids later on. And so there's an element of like, you want to build something, you want to use that spatial reasoning, you want to, you know, work on those fine motor skills that are building things with your hands and the hand-eye coordination with all that stuff. And so I think, yeah, you know, like choose what is going to work for you in your budget. Being that we are a Lego YouTube channel, that I have like this huge list of Lego sets that I would want to get that we don't necessarily have the money for, I wouldn't want to spend that money on an off-brand knockoff, but some of those I think can definitely be worth it. But I also think if you're doing it the right way, getting a higher premium quality product, you're probably going to be spending quite a bit on it anyway. So I think it's a little bit of a trade-off on that.
Okay, our last couple questions are a little bit more on the personal nature. First of all, do you play any Lego video games?
No.
That's a quick answer.
I've never been able to do that just because full disclosure, I've never been a huge video gaming person. Like I grew up in a household that, you know, my parents didn't want us to have a lot of video games, and it wasn't until I was in 4th grade that I got, check this, a Sega Game Gear. We didn't have a Game Boy, but we had a Game Gear, which was cool because it was color. But we didn't have the Nintendo 64 or, you know, any Nintendo system. We didn't have the regular Sega Genesis that plugged into the TV. We had the Game Gear, and we were rationing our time. Like we only had a certain amount of time that we could use it for. And so I think in part because of that, like when I went off to college, I played some games, but I didn't play a ton. And I was never into like the PlayStations or, you know, Xboxes or anything like that. So in part because of that, I've never really gotten into the Lego video games or video games in general. Now, like, it's tempting. Like, there's some really cool games out there. It's just, well, I've got a job, a family, and a YouTube channel and other things that I volunteer with. So it's hard to find time for video games.
Yeah.
Yeah. But never say never.
Speaking of your other commitments, someone wants to know what we do for work.
I fail kids. No, I'm kidding. I'm a professor at a university here in the Cleveland, Ohio area. And I, believe it or not, I teach political science. So I have a PhD in political science from the University of Oklahoma. But I grew up here in Ohio. As some of you commented in one of our previous videos, I'm a big Ohio State fan, so people knows that. So I teach political science at a university here, and I intentionally do not infuse politics into our YouTube channel because I know that's something that you don't want to do in life. You know, you don't want to talk about religion, you don't want to talk about politics, at least, you know, with people who don't want to talk about those things. So that's what I do. I teach a number of classes at the university every semester, and then, do a lot of research over the summer.
And then I work part-time as a piano teacher.
Yeah. So, but Julia is trained as an educator. She spent a number of years working in Oklahoma as an elementary school teacher before we moved back here, and she started teaching piano.
Yep. So
Yeah.
that's us.
That's our resume. If you want to offer us a job, go ahead. See what happens.
Thanks for watching, and remember to comment below if you have any questions for us. We love hearing your questions and answering them. Also, be sure to watch one of our other videos, like, subscribe, and always remember to keep building together.